arrival of supply chain analytics is the topic of my conversation today with Rich Diaz. He is president and CEO of Catena Solutions. Hi, Rich.
Hi, Bob. How are you?
Good, and thanks for being with me. What are the factors you think that are driving the adoption of analytics in supply chain today?
Yeah, no, great question, Bob. I think when it comes to supply chain analytics, it goes without saying the last couple of years have been abnormal at best. Companies have really there was constant disruption before the pandemic, but the pandemic really just shined a spotlight on supply chain as an industry, as a profession. And anytime that things are going well or not so well, you look to analytics and data to make sure that you can make improvements where necessary.
It's almost like what's made it necessary is the availability of data to such a degree that we've never experienced before. Too much information to get by without analytics, right?
Absolutely. Like you said, there's so much data out there and companies harness this data, but what do you do with it? And I think when it comes to supply chain analytics, it's more than just having analytics, it's actionable analytics so you can drive decisions. Companies right now are looking, when am I going to be able to deliver my baby food, my strawberries? Mm-hmm. This is more than just, when are you going to get your couch? Is it going to be 6 months? Is it going to be accurate? But there are critical things, medical supplies that need to be delivered on time and accurately. And without the right supply chain analytics, it's really hard to make those predictions.
What is the one thing about analytics that you think that people outside the profession might not understand?
I think it's really not even about the analytics, to be honest. One, there's so much complexity that people just want to, wave a magic wand and there's this magic bullet that'll just fix things. Mm-hmm. But it's very complex. There's so many moving parts. But I think the thing that some may not realize from outside is that it really comes down to the people. Do you have the right people on the seat? There are some of the most smartest, most talented people I've worked with within the supply chain profession. And I think that's sometimes overlooked.
What an interesting thing to say in answer to my question, because I would have thought these days you cannot say analytics without saying in the same breath artificial intelligence. And yet you brought forth the people aspect of it.
Yeah. It really does. It all comes down to the people. And I think that's what we're seeing is a lot of times without the right people on the seat, the right strategy, right? You have to have the right process, document that process, and then we can get to the data, the analytics, automation, all the fun things that are out there that investors like to throw dollars at. But really, I'm old-fashioned, and I think it does come down to the people.
What advice might you have to companies just getting started out in analytics? What types of features or qualities should they be looking for?
In Wizard of Oz, they have a quote, with if you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there. Mm-hmm. And so when it comes to supply chain analytics, I think it's really important to know, what are you looking for, right? What are you looking to gather from this data? And I think when you create a dashboard, that information's got to be consumable from the front lines, dock workers, all the way to the boardroom. And I think that's what's really important when it comes to supply chain analytics.
You're also from the show me state where you have to...
That's right. Show me.
This is definitely that sort of thing.
That is exactly true.
Yeah. Well, what is it that excites you most? And it sounds like you truly are excited about analytics right now, but what is the one thing about analytics that really gets you these days and you think is really interesting for now and in the future?
I think the most exciting thing is the profession, right? Things aren't going to go back to normal. There will never be the way that we used to operate in supply chain. I think this disruption has created an opportunity for us to just really reimagine the way that we move products, the way that we enhance operations, and that's what's really exciting. I think there's a profession in supply chain that kind of went under the radar for many, many years, and now it's just thrust in the spotlight. And again, some of these brilliant people that both work in my company as well as our customers, it's amazing to see them finally get the recognition they deserve.
Well, thanks so much, Rich, for these insights into just the whole idea of supply chain analytics and why it might be catching on now in a way that it hadn't before. Thanks for that. I do want to take a moment, though, to ask you a little bit about Catena Solutions specifically. Who are you folks and what are you doing in the marketplace these days?
No, sure. No, thanks for asking. Catena Solutions really evolved and came out rapidly because of COVID. Mm-hmm. And what we're really doing is helping companies evolve through this transformation. And so most of the organizations that we work with, they're experiencing, if you don't get, the challenge of people, technology, and process, and the change that's kind of thrust upon them. How do you change an entire industry, but also improve it at the same time? And I think that's what Catena Solutions does.
How do you change an entire industry?
It's amazing. Amazing.
That's a long answer, but obviously you're saying analytics is one way, is a necessary way or an important element in that whole perspective.
It's one of many very critical components for sure.
Well, thanks, Rich Diaz of Catena Solutions, for kind of trumpeting the advantages of analytics, indeed the necessity of analytics today in supply chain. I really appreciate you being with me today. Thanks.
You bet. Thanks for having me.
I have been speaking with Rich Diaz of Catena Solutions. Thanks very much for watching.